Now, let's start in South Africa, where police are searching for the killers of popular South African musician AKA, who was shot and killed in an apparent hit in Durban over the weekend. AKA, whose real name is Kiernan Forbes, was shot along with his manager and top friend, Tebello Motsoane.
The two men were leaving a Durban nightclub when they were shot in full view of the public. The motive for the shooting is unclear. Now, South African journalist and editor Dianne Hawker joins us this morning to look at the latest on the story. Good morning, Dianne. Thank you very much for joining us. I think, first of all, we'd like to extend our condolences to you, to the people of South Africa, and to Africa at large, because the impact that AKA's music made on the continent cannot be, downplayed. His shooting has come as a shock and a surprise, particularly because of the way that he was killed. Talk to us about the latest updates on this story. Do we have any update from the police, maybe?
Well, you're correct. The shooting does come as quite a surprise to the fans of AKA. AKA was visiting Durban at the time of the shooting, so he's not even someone who is based permanently in Durban. And indications are that the shooters actually waited for him to leave the club on Florida Road, where he was, and that they took that opportunity. There has been some footage that has emerged, which the police are obviously using as part of their investigation. And the footage, which is quite gruesome, shows the exact moment. It's CCTV footage in which AKA and Tebello Motsoane were actually shot and killed. And the thing that I think is the most surprising is the speed with which this murder took place. The two men can be seen, leaving a car, or one of the shooters can be seen leaving a car, but there are two people in the car. He walks up to AKA and shoots him at point blank range and quickly leaves. It's such a quick incident. I think someone said it took about 19 seconds for the whole thing to go down. And I think the key thing will be for the police to examine that footage very closely, perhaps also to put out identikits of the killers. The social media footage has already started circulating, and in a press statement, the police said that they would be happy to get any information from anyone who knows about what actually happened, the motive for the crime, and why AKA was killed. Of course, there's also a lot of speculation about the manner in which the crime took place, considering that they were leaving a club. There are questions about how the shooters knew that they were actually at that place, since he's not someone who's permanently based in the Durban area.
Yeah, you may want to just go on with some of these speculations, and because, like you've said, it's very unclear. Even the CCTV clips, I got to see them over the weekend, also really shocking, and doesn't really tell much. But are there conversations that have been had surrounding all of this? Is the police listening to certain things that might be leads into what may have occurred here? Because it seems like a clear assassination. It wasn't a robbery of any kind. So have there been conversations that might give ideas as to what have happened? Is it a music industry beef? Is it a business deal gone bad? Or is there something else that we maybe need to know?
Well, it's difficult to speculate at this stage as to what the full motive might be. But you're correct, it definitely was not a robbery. And it's clear from that footage that the intention was to kill those two men. Now, obviously, the question is whether AKA would have been the main reason for the shooting, or whether the shooters were going after his manager. There also have been questions about a few other recent industry murders. There was a DJ by the name of DJ somebody who was also recently killed. And there have been a lot of questions about whether there's any link between those two. I think what we'll have to do, however, is wait until more of the facts become clear. If the identities of these two attackers becomes more clear. I mean, the CCTV footage that shows their faces, but it's not 100% clear. So people who might know them might be able to identify them. However, one thing that we do know about the KZN region is that there has been a trend in that area of murder for hire. We've seen it with some of the political killings that have taken place, where, hired guns who are called inkabi have been hired to kill counselors. And in a lot of those cases, there hasn't been a resolution. The killers have not been found simply because they don't actually have any connection to the person that they're killing. They are people who are hired guns, they kill people, and then they essentially disappear. We also see that a lot taking place in the taxi industry, for example. So if these killers were actually hired guns, if they were inkabi, it might be difficult for the police to then trace them back to who could have possibly hired them. Right. However, it's not impossible. We have seen that in some cases that, they do ultimately get found.
Dianne, it's a really unfortunate incident. We do hope that investigation is done and the people who are behind this assassination are found and brought to book. The tributes keep pouring in, and even for us here on News Central, we're also sharing the pain that's going around to say that our thoughts and our prayers go to the family that AKA has left behind and to his daughter. We hope that the kind words that people are saying about him would comfort them in this time and keep their hearts warm. Dianne Hawker, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward.
Apologies. Just before we let you go, I just wanted you can, in 10 seconds, let us know if there's any trust for the South African police system.
Well, that's a tricky one. I think the South African police system hasn't really painted itself in glory recently. If you think back to the Senzo Meyiwa trial and how long it took for arrests to be made, there are a lot of questions about how effective their investigation will be. So there are concerns that they won't do as much as they can in as short a time as possible.
I mean, we do urge the public, if you're watching this and you have any leads, please share with the police to ensure that justice is being served in this regard. Thank you very much, Dianne Hawker, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.